What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio, Fantastic Fest 2024. I am so excited to be talking to the other half of Team VHS Beyond. This franchise brings me such joy, and your movies are all exceptional. I just love this franchise so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Given the fact that I love VHS so much, and I love how it supports experienced filmmakers, newer filmmakers, and basically lets them swing for the fences in a way where their voice feels supported. Can you each give me an example of something about the VHS filmmaking environment that you think set you up for success on your respective film?
I think one of the things I loved about VHS was the relentless wave of yeses you get, which is like, sure, try that. Sure, try that. I had a technology that I had no proof of. Infrared light had not been done or used, shot in pure infrared. I had nothing to point at. And so I had to meet each executive in order and explain why I want to use it and what it would look like. And I had to show them examples of it. But to their credit, conversations that would start with, I think we're going to have to go in another direction. They were willing to listen and they were willing to change their minds, which is rare and special.
And it looks exceptional.
It's just such a collaborative environment. The producers are incredible in giving you all the creative freedom. In our case, we did a little bit of pre-production from here, like the casting, getting the special effects stuff started. But once we just left for Mumbai and we were there, we were left to our own devices. Which was very liberating, but also sometimes terrifying because, I would share on WhatsApp and like email on Dropbox stuff with like Josh and Nick from Shudder, everybody. And they were just giving us like, thumbs up, this is great, this is awesome. And sometimes they would give some like ideas. What do you do this? What about this? But we were just by ourselves, even for the shoot. And though Michael Stiver, who's one of the producers, was like amazing enough to come there and be with us on set, but he was there for the actual shoot days. But a lot of the prep, we were just doing our own thing and hoping and praying that when we put it all together, it's something they like. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for us, having the shorthand with the Shudder team, because we had done this Cursed Films series for them, 2 seasons of it. So the fact that the Wraparound was in that same sort of form, at least Nick and the people at Shudder knew my process of getting, at something. And Josh, I knew from way back, my first feature doc, he programmed at a festival in Philadelphia. So it's great reconnecting. So happy. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about crafting a wraparound. Any film is difficult to make. When it comes to VHS, I always feel like that is probably one of the most challenging things to pull off well. So what are some things you did to make sure you were kind of serving your own story, but also the stories that would appear between them?
I just focused on my story, basically, not approaching it, I guess thematically approaching it as a wraparound. So it touches on the idea of, verisimilitude in UFO and alien footage and what it would take for someone to believe that something is authentic. So just exploring that and allowing the theme to enhance or throw to the segments rather than literally throwing to the segments. I felt that might be a kind of different, rich version of a wraparound.
Works quite well. I have a specific question about your story, because I was reading your director's statement, and you mentioned that you received an anonymous email from someone who claimed to have evidence of an alien abduction, and that's kind of what inspired all of this. What were the details of that email, and when can we see any of them like directly used in the finished film?
Yes, the whole tape at the end was what we received.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if what's on the tape was real, but it was delivered. This was while doing Cursed Films season 2. I got an email from someone anonymously. Video was attached, and we thought, okay, this isn't appropriate for Cursed Films, but we'll hold on to it. And then this came up, and it was like, if we have evidence of an alien encounter, what better way to introduce it to the world than a genre film festival?
For real. That end is quite chilling too. I will not spoil it for everyone.
Like that's how The Ring begins.
What?
Another version of The Ring.
Oh, yeah,
Got this cursed.
Yeah.
All right, Virat, I'm going to come your way now. There's another thing that I saw. I think it was in a different interview you had done. You had mentioned that it was really important for you here to give the audience a glimpse of what it feels like to be on a Bollywood film set. So can you tease some things that people will see in your film here that, highlight the difference between how a Bollywood film set operates versus what people might think a traditional Hollywood film set is like?
Oh, okay. Great question. Truth be told, I have observed sets where my friends have been working. I have also been a visitor to set and, AD'd in the past, but I have never actually run a set over there. I've actually just, worked in LA. So, but I know how sets there work. And in our own small sort of VHS segment way, we wanted to give you just a glimpse of how things are there. Obviously, the way the story is, it just kicks right into gear as we see the stuff happening there. But there are subtle differences. There is the sound stage looks different. The way the people interact, I mean, these are very small, subtle nuances, but people can be a little, in a high pressure environment, they can be a little rough with, as they give instructions. That's why we have like this character who's kind of just commanding things, because I've actually seen that in real life. I do not condone any of it, but there is a certain, at least it's changing now in the last few years, but like in the 90s and 2000s, directors were very, very dictatorial, and many people, director of photographies, would just shout at like the crew and everything, and everybody was always in fear. I don't think that's how sets work. Even there now, obviously not here, and just, the vibe, like there's so many people, you wouldn't know, like a thing which would take 20 people here would be like 100 over there. Because every person, every department head, anybody, even a costume designer or a production designer, you would think they'll need 2 people, especially for the scope of work required. They'll say, no, we need 5. But they won't charge more. They just say 5 people will come with me, and that's it. And if you say no, if you like if you try to convince them no, they're like, no, but this is not how we work. And because of it's also just the way union works over there. You require more people for lighting, for camera, for all these departments. So we had like 100 people on set. 100 people for a VHS segment.
I love that.
We had 3 people.
I feel like more often than not, like I love watching movies about making movies, but most of the time it is a very specific traditional kind of set. So I love getting the opportunity to get like a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of how it operates elsewhere. I also have to ask you about that song, which is just like permanently stuck in my head now.
Oh, thank you.
When you started working on this, did you already have a very clear sense of what you wanted that to sound like? And if not, can you walk us through some of the trial and error you experienced with it?
Okay. So in terms of the song, the lyrics were, the chorus lines were in the script, which I had put there. So we knew it had to have a certain feeling. And again, I've not mentioned this before, and I think it would require a lot of context, but for many years, especially since the 90s, the 2010s, there were these, they're not called music videos, they're part of movies in India, especially the ones which have songs. And there is this very specific kind of song where an actress comes and dances in a very, it's like a Beyonce kind of video. And they used to call it, somebody in the press termed it as item songs. Okay, and that's what they were called. But they subverted expectation. They started having like main actors also doing it. So there's like a item song with a guy. Okay, so I told the producers that we are gonna do we won't call it an item song, but it will basically, the item song is like a promotional song in a movie for the movie. So the movie she's doing, the movie within the segment, she's doing like a promotional song for that film, which is what we are recording, capturing. And in terms of recording the song, I worked with a composer here. He had an initial melody, which just took it to a composer back in Mumbai. And after 2-3 people, which was not working out, we found this person. He just got it. In 2 days, it was done. And then we were off to the races. We have an amazing singer, Hamsika, who sang it. And then it all just came together very quickly.
So good. And then so well used in the final edit all throughout. I really dug it. All right, Kate, you're next up on my list here. I have a quote from Josh that I really wanted to highlight. He had said, Kate's treatment was far and away one of the craziest I've ever read. It was so thorough and complete and chaotic, and on paper, it reads like a $100 million short film. What was the single most chaotic or ambitious idea in that treatment, and how did you go about executing it for less than $100 million?
It was that I wanted the back half to be in zero gravity. That was a deal breaker for me. I was like, if I can't be in space, then if Kate can't go to space, then what's the point of the revolution? And the way I ended up doing that was I used something called a Trinity head, which is a gyroscopic crane head that I put on a Steadicam operator. And a gyroscopic crane head, what it does is it goes side to side, and it can pan 360 and it can do a full twist. And it is operated by your DP at monitor. So he has two little wheels. Michael Fimignari was spinning them. But then my Steadicam operator, who had this on a long pole, could move also. And so all of a sudden we could get a flow. And we spent a lot of time working on the float. Because I was like, and you can sell it with a few things. I was like, the first thing we need is we just need, because the question is, where does she go? Like, floating a person is very hard. I didn't want there to be wire work because you can always see, and you feel the gravity almost in wires. And also, we couldn't afford wires. We didn't have that kind of safety or stunt. But we had one wire stunt when she gets thrown into the filaments. Anyway, so we did a thing where we had a dummy made of our actress, and I was like, just have her float gently. Just that moment of her leaving frame, we'll sell it. And then when she ends up grabbing the camera by the window, she's on two giant apple boxes on like a furniture dolly and rolled up like pads so that she could lift her body for short periods of time. And we tried that from a bunch of different angles just to sell it just a little bit. I just wanted people to get permission to buy in. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it 100% and that people could be like, well, her hair didn't or her clothes didn't. But I just wanted them to buy in enough.
I feel like that is just a perfect example that extends to the entire VHS franchise in terms of like, you don't need maximum resources. Look what you can accomplish just by being smart and creative with what you have. That's so incredibly well done. And you brought up your lead in this, who you already know, I think is absolutely exceptional, Alana Pierce. I believe you two have known each other for a little while. So can you tell me maybe how you first met and what the first thing you saw in her was that signaled to you, like, she would be a great collaborator for me when I direct?
Alana is one of the most talented and generous people I've ever met. She came into my friend group. She is currently dating one of my friends, and she has a magnetism to her that just draws you into her sphere. And she's very experienced in front of the camera, which I needed, but I also wanted someone who wasn't going to feel like an actor. And Alana has done a ton of voice work. Her American accent is flawless. And everything about that, we were at a game night. We were playing running charades, and I was deep into Stowaway prep, and I had just heard that my first choice actress wasn't going to be approved for union reasons. And I'm just looking around and I'm going, and I just saw her sitting there watching the games go off. And I was like, it has to be Alana. And so, because I never, ever can stop any impulse that has ever occurred to me ever, I ran over to her and was like, hey, you want to be in my movie? And Alana's very cool. And she was like, yes. Yeah. No, she wasn't even like that. She was like, okay, what's your movie? And I was like, oh yeah, okay. And working with Alana is a dream. I like to pick actors that communicate the same way I do, which is like no bullshit and very honest. And she would tell me what she needed. I would tell her what I needed. And it was a dream. And I hope to work with her again and again and again. But I think she will be very booked and very busy.
I like hearing that. I desperately need to see her more on screen, because I was like, seriously, within the first couple of minutes she was there, I'm like, breath taken away. I can just see you're going to keep this as grounded, as natural as it needs to be. I wanted to end on a group question. I've been ending on on this ever since our first Fantastic Fest interview this year because it is an idea I really like. It was for The Rule of Jenny Penn, and that's the movie with John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush. And their director was explaining that one of the things that wowed him about them is how much joy they have on set. They're just so happy to be there. They take so much pride in their work. So for each of you, can you isolate the single moment on your set that brought you the most joy as a creator?
Well, I think I had never shot a song before. And it was also, we were very nervous doing it. But in the lead up to it, but when we started, when I saw the choreography 2 days prior and how our actress literally had 2 days to prep it. And she said, I'm doing it. She did it. All the backup dancers came. And then when we saw it actually on stage with the cameras and everything, it was surreal. It was a surreal moment. I mean, I was very overwhelmed. And it was a truly joyous experience. Obviously, the horror of it, all the other set pieces was so much fun. There is a moment I don't want to spoil, but it's where something is revealed and it's the first thing we see happen to her, to a character, and everybody on set was on tenterhooks. But when it happened and it got over, everybody started clapping. And it was amazing. It was a great moment. And I would also like to add, just in terms of just as a filmmaker who got to be with these amazing filmmakers, and it was like a dream come true for me to work with such established names, and it takes a lot of courage to be able to even do an idea which you don't have the bells and whistles for, like Kate's segment, but to have the conviction and the assured sort of sense that even without the bells and whistles, I will be able to do it. It's very inspirational, actually. And it really makes you feel that, sometimes try to shoot for the stars like you did, and you can make it happen. And I think that's a lesson for me and hopefully for many people listening here.
Beautifully said.
God, the whole thing was so joyous. I mean, I burst into the stages every day like the Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah! So excited to be there. So excited to figure this out. And of course, being a director is 90% preparation and 10% putting out fires on the day, and something goes wrong or this thing doesn't show up correctly and how you have to shoot that. And for me, the creative, collaborative problem solving, where I'm looking at something and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do with that. And I could turn to my left and my DP was there, and I could turn to my right and the producer was there. And we were like, all right. So the shark's not working. What are we going to do? And those moments of feeling that were the best. I just immediately addicted, and I have to get back on set.
Oh yes, I like hearing that.
I mean, pathetically, if the tape at the end was something we made, the best part was probably casting the hypothetical actor in that section. Is a friend of mine, hypothetically, Jerry Eng, who is not an actor, and we've been friends for a long time, and he has always taken part in projects that we've done. And so I thought, okay, I want to bring him into this, and somehow I cast him without anyone knowing that I was just casting my friend and who has no experience with anything. But we brought him to LA, and he had his first Uber ride. He had his first Starbucks. He has a lot of firsts. And he's not someone that normally expresses gratitude sincerely. And at the end, he said he was happy. It was the best experience he's had in his life, which he then added, which probably makes his life pathetic, which is very him, and that it was like a Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is also a comment that's very him. So I think that hypothetically would be the best thing.
These answers just so well highlight why I love horror and horror filmmakers so much, because they are the warmest, kindest people, and I feel like they make the most sickest and twisted shit, and that shouldn't compute, but it does for some reason, and you feel that vibe here at Fantastic Fest, I think more than any other place on the planet.
I do think it's because we as horror filmmakers get all that goop out of us. And it's, you guys deal with it.
Also, I feel like getting all like the sick stuff out helps you better process like difficult human truths in real life than any other kind of movie, if that makes sense. I don't know. I like processing things via the extreme. It helps keep me more grounded. Also, as a person who is obsessed with filmmaking and what you have to put in to make something, and just having the opportunity to take the biggest swings in the world, VHS brings me so much joy, and it brings me so much hope for the future of this industry and creative storytelling. You have all now contributed to that, so I'm going to say thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
To everyone out there, VHS Beyond arrives on Shudder on October 4th. Please do not miss it. Trust me when I tell you, you will love it. Also, stay tuned. We'll have more interviews from Fantastic Fest 2024 coming your way very, very soon.